Welcome to episode 14. So last time we left off, we did a whole bunch of planning all the way up through here to try and get the different habitats laid out. So just to recover again, Arctic foxes, timber wolves, Arctic wolves, Przewalski's horse, reindeer, doll sheep, and then this episode we are going to go ahead and add in this new entrance through here. And we may start work on this little pier, this little rest stop, the little rest stop through here, and possibly even the lookout over through here. I also left off last time mentioning that I was going to do a whole bunch of rock work, which you've probably already seen. So here is the after look of all of the rock work that we've done on this side. So I went ahead and carved out anywhere where there was already pretty decent amounts of stone. I went ahead and carved those out with some actual rock work. I haven't done any like extra colors to this region. Like there's no temperate mixed in, there's none of that. So what I did end up doing was through here. So what I ended up doing through here is that we used two different kinds of rock through this. We used temperate and this one, taiga. I believe there's a little bit of taiga through here as well, but I can't tell through the colors. So all of this rock is done in temperate and taiga, just a little bit of mixture throughout the two just to blend them in. And then the rest of this is all done in this white taiga rock. We might end up blending in a little bit more color into the rock work, but I wanted to leave it fairly blank, fairly washed out. Especially considering the palette that we're going to be working with, since, we're going to have to incorporate snow through here. So having something paler to blend into with the snow is going to look a little bit better, I think. So then on this side, just to get this side of the after, it's not quite so distinctive, but you can see we did the work through this lake. This we did at the end of last episode, and then all of this was sort of, to set up what we were going to do. So here's the den, here's the edge of the Arctic wolf pen. I considered doing a little bit more rock work through here, decided to opt out of it because it's so soft through here. I didn't think that it needed a very hard edge in order to stand out. So instead we've got certain areas which are like fairly crisp, and then we've got other areas which are a bit softer. So I think that it's looking pretty good. Definitely gives us a good idea of how we want to shape this. If it weren't for the fact that the reindeer are going to be all through here, I would almost smooth this out and throw a path, because it's got this nice zigzag to it, but again, we've already determined the reindeer are going to be here. I might extend this out just a little bit farther down, and then as you approach from the south, from the bottom. I'll be honest, I don't really know what's south in this. You can see reindeer on this ledge, perhaps. So that's a thought that we might do once we get closer to that. But like I said, as for today, we're going to go ahead and start on the buildings. We're going to get this fleshed out. We're going to get possibly this and this worked out, and then that'll be enough to go ahead and frame the enclosures themselves. At which point then we'll start actually hardlining those, making sure that they all look good and that they have even the vaguest possibility of actually holding animals. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. back from the time lapse. So, I think we did a pretty good amount of progress today. You know, maybe not necessarily anything as drastic as what we usually do over here, but definitely this whole area is looking a whole lot better. You know, we've got it all carved out, it's looking like it's actually part of the zoo and not just like a big old texture blob up north. And, you know, you can definitely see where the game plan for some of the enclosures is starting to come in, so I think we did pretty good today. Let's see here. Real quick, let's go over what we did. So the first thing that we took care of was this, this brand new entrance. So, I'm sure y'all are used to this by now, but I'm not necessarily very good at doing the internals of buildings. Planet Zoo isn't really built for it. Like, you can definitely make it work. I've seen some really beautiful things. But definitely for this building, like, even I think it's a little bit too plain, so I might go in here and do a little bit of interior work. Maybe create another sign, or maybe I'll do another, like, 3D... Not 3D. I'll do another... Oh my goodness, I'm blanking. Like we did for the reptile habitat, where we have a custom asset that shows a map of the zoo. I wouldn't mind doing that, and then I wouldn't mind revisiting our old entrance, because it's a little... I mean, it was clunky when we began, and I think that compared to the rest of the zoo, it feels clunkier. Like, it's definitely maybe showing some of its age. We'll wander over there in a minute, but real quick I want to finish showing this off. So right now it feels a little bit barren, as you know, especially with the tree line up here. But of course, you know, as I've mentioned repeatedly, we're gonna bring this down. I really just want to make sure that we've got the habitats mapped out first, so that way I know where to stop. And then that way, when we go through and do all the individual animals, we can go ahead and put in the right amount of trees for that animal while making it still look natural to the zone. First thing, we did this little custom sign here, this Highwater Pass sign. It's not exactly level, but you can't really tell, so I'm okay with it. The only things that I'm worried about is that these lights don't cast a whole lot of light, if that makes sense. So, we will test it at night, and I might end up doing, like, a little, you know, like a pathing light through here, so that way it shines up onto the sign, you know, on both sides. So, you know, we'll do that. It is a little bit plain, it's a little bit austere, but considering that we're going for this, like, crisp American modern style for most of the zoo, I think it works okay. And then over here, this took a little bit of fiddling. These little mulch paths, you need to find the right circular thing to go around them, and then you need to get the diameters right, and usually what happens is that the dirt will show through because it's not flat on the edges. So instead I got the European lights, turned them green, and made this little scene here. So we've got wolves, bears, buffalo, and deer, specifically reindeer. And I wanted to really highlight, you know, some of the species that you're actually going to see in this zoo, and also make it very clear that we are in a North American zoo. These are all, you know, obviously North American animals. And then, of course, did a little bit of planting. So, when I turned the nightlight off, or when I turned the... My goodness. I can words today. When I turn it dark, then we will see what all the lighting does. And then in here, I added a little bit of decals because it didn't feel like it fit in the area just yet. But these are the platforms that you would come through, you know, if we were guests and we spawned at the zoo like the guests do. This is where that would be. And then you come through this building, which, like I said, is too plain even for me. So I will probably do a little bit of work there. Just because it's tight quarters, I might do that in like a mini episode, I'm debating, or like maybe a short where like I make all of the assets and then I do a reveal of what it looks like on the inside. No commitments. I don't know how to do that, and my screen is not laid out properly. You'll notice that throughout all of this series I've been in a very weird aspect ratio, and that is because this is my actual monitor. I've been meaning to get a normal monitor for a long time now. I had one. And then I had to move locations, and this is the monitor that I ended up with through shenaniganery. So, unfortunately, Planet Zoo only does the aspect ratio of your monitor. You can't, at least from my experimentation, you can't put it in like a windowed screen. So, we have to live with what it is. So if you're ever curious, that's what's going on. Moving on, the next thing we did was build the platform up here. Let's go ahead and go into explore mode. So you'll come up this little platform. You are greeted immediately with a bathroom, which, like, I'm not a huge fan of, but, you know, the rest of the building looks pretty good. And considering that this is primarily a rest stop with a couple of shops in the middle, I think that it's okay. We've got our standard, you know, our standard quad, you know, food, drink, info, merchandising. And then we brought in these fences from back down there. And I think it gives you a pretty nice look still across the habitat. Like, this looks, it looks clean, it looks good. So once we get all of the foliage in, hopefully this will all stay cohesive. I need to pay, you know, particular attention to this viewpoint. And then over here is the actual staff entrance for the Timberwolves. Took a little bit of fiddling, but not too much. And it is a little bit weird to just have this, like, fence here and then, you know, not have a gateway down, but I'm sure you've noticed we go for aesthetic more than realism in this zoo. So it's fine. It'll work. And then you've got, you know, a nice view of the entrance, which, again, I think it looks good. From the outside, I think it looks fine. I would love to add, like, some tables and chairs on the top just to make this look, you know, nice and, I don't know, a little bit more homely, if that makes sense. So, and then you got, you know, your great view of the doll sheep from here. And then over here, I'm not happy with this view of the fennec fox, but I haven't decided what we're going to do for that. That'll be a next episode thing, depending on how we want to terraform this. And, you know, we might bring the entire fennec fox enclosure to this whole area, and then they would just putz around here a little bit. They are relatively shy creatures, so I want to give them some space, give them a little bit of an area that's hidden, you know, that you have to, like, look for them for. But we will get there. And then, I need to change this to beach, but this is where the path downwards would start, you know, for our hiking trail. So that's that. And then lastly, on the hiking trail, we did this little building through here. So I've got, you know, a couple of planters. I've got food, water, and this time I did actual water because that, for whatever reason, seems to be the best seller. Like, I don't like water, but apparently the rest of you humans do. So, and then of course we've got the restroom, which we've only got one, but I think that's okay. So, it's just a nice little building. And then our solar panel to power it, which again, these don't interact negatively with the guests, so why wouldn't I use them? And then you've got this nice walk down to the Przewalskis. The main consideration that I had when I was building right through here was whether or not it was going to look good from down here. In theory, all your attention should be focused on seeing the cougar, you know. But some people have a wandering eye, they want to see the whole area. And so you can kind of see this building up through here, but it's a little bit of a blob. Like, on the one hand, it kind of hints to you that, hey, there's something over there for you to go explore. On the other hand, it's not very clear what this is. So hopefully that would be something that would work to our advantage, rather than being just kind of a weird artifact. So, pretty good. One of the things that I did last episode, and then neglected to tell anybody about, was I finished up this area. We might change the colors on these. Maybe? I don't know. I kind of like it as it is, honestly. It does feel a little bit too... I guess the word is Nordic. Definitely more like it belongs in this area up here than it does maybe in our Central America, where, like, we've got these much oranger tones. But it does blend in with this wood over here and contrast with the wood over here, so... We've also got the bamboo through here to kind of give the illusion of depth and then also just sort of hide things. And then I was careful to make sure that we added some over here so that way it still looks like this is part of the zoo. You get that depth, but this is clearly like an area off over there that you're not supposed to be a part of. And then with our little weird like African encampment thing, or like safari encampment, that's a better way to phrase it. Hopefully it lends this area sort of like an exhibition, or like an encampment kind of feel. Maybe not, maybe it just looks like a whole bunch of work buildings and also this, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so I did that last episode. And then you'll notice that I didn't brick off these two enclosures. I'm actually thinking about merging them depending on the needs of the spectacle caiman and the alligator. Like, they shouldn't be that different, and I don't think that they're going to be aggressive with each other. But we'll find out. Like, it might work, or we might end up with some dead alligators. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. So yeah, I think that we're definitely coming along. Next episode is going to be fleshing out these different enclosure areas, making it look like it. I want to keep this feeling open, and create the illusion that you're not in a zoo, but more that you're in a nature reserve. It's a little bit hard because Planet Zoo wants you to have barriers for your animals. It wants you to have, places where they can't jump over. And that makes sense, because otherwise your animals are going to explore. But then it has a panic attack if you do things like have one big massive enclosure and you've got, your horses and your wolves together. And naturally so. The wolves are going to figure out how to hunt the elk and the horses. It's just going to happen. So that'll be definitely something for next episode that we figure out. And then after that, we're basically on to the home straight. We're going to put our trees in here, make it look nice and planted. And then the only thing that would be left to do before we add the animals in is maybe this region up here, like I hinted at last episode. Again, I haven't committed. I have some ideas, but I don't know. It basically is like a hint to tide you over. Remember how we talked about this zoo having a trade agreement with somewhere in Asia? I'm thinking about maybe bringing that back up here. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna make any commitments yet. So, thank you for joining me. I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. And hopefully I will see you next time.